Work laboriously continues on the next installment of the ending deep dive. But the world of AI also continues to rapidly advance. The sleeper has awakened, and the spice must flow. Meaning, the deep dive will continue next weekend. A trailer has just come out for Ever Crisis, relating to the last two parts of the First Soldier Possibility, which takes place on the Beagle world. It's a trailer that has evoked enormous excitement in me for the possibility of a fight to dwarf all fights between gods, and for moral ambiguity. The melancholic execution that haunts stories as precarious as Final Fantasy VII. 2 Sephiroths. Here is the trailer. A quick recap. This story picks up after the cliffhanger from earlier this year, when Glenn, Matt, and Lucia have defected from Shinra in order to save Rosen, a boy they'd grown fond of, especially Glenn. Glenn, who saw himself in this fearless, stubborn child. And the beautiful part, after deliberation, a young Sephiroth also defects from Shinra and joins them, choosing his friends over everything else, even when those friends told him to stick with the company. One of those friends is young Sephiroth's surrogate older brother, even his savior in one instance, a lighthouse in the storm of life, as well as a fellow comrade in pitiless combat. For me, young Sephiroth making a choice that came from his heart was a transcendently poignant moment. My eyes moistened at the time. This music is the same as that playing at the edge of creation, at the end of Remake. The Lifestream seen billowing over the horizon is the effect of a reactor site going nova, the effects of which would consume the island Rosen is on and kill him if he is not evacuated. The red smoke from this smokestack is what Rosen burns in order to warn the mainland, his people, from one of these Lifestream supernovas. That is the young Rodean's purpose on this island, to maintain that smoke and warn his people. It is a haunting sorrow, as Rosen's people have been slaughtered by Shinra, much in part to Sephiroth, Glenn, and their actions. The young Rodan is possibly the last of a handful. He even could be the very last of his kind. Either way, that smoke no longer serves a purpose. This line by Glenn Strife is especially moving, as until now he's been almost completely led by hairline trigger decisions and a staunch resistance to the bitter side of such a lifestyle and form of leadership. Headstrong and gung-ho. And this is Rosen. And this is a shot of him that we saw in the pre-launch trailers last year. As such, we know that young Sephiroth is behind him, and the two are talking. And notice how Rosen is hit by static as the two new chapters are announced. Static to be addressed in a moment. And then the crowd goes silent. This is an adult Sephiroth beneath the stars, either on Gaia or at the edge of creation, which perchance is why that mysterious places theme is now playing. This Sephiroth is pensive, reacting to something within him, much as Aerith does at the end of Reunion. If this is Edge of Creation, Sephiroth is looking up at creation, the future that is yet to happen. Creation, Rainbow. And who is this inwardly focusing individual? This is Ore Sephiroth, the term used by the One-Winged Angel to refer to himself before the Nibelheim incident, including all of First Soldier, as well as at the edge of creation, where this theme music comes from. This is the non-insane self of Sephiroth. There is something being told to us about all of this. Why release two parts of the first soldier story on the same day? This is unprecedented since the release of Ever Crisis. And why now? Journey's End is 2 to 3 years away. Perhaps you can hear the silence between the notes. The first soldier has two aspects of self, Ore and Watashi, that are so discontiguous from each other that neither seems to be able to affect the other's actions, thoughts, or feelings. Without a means to face one another, to at the very least align, this bipolar existence must be tolerated by both. Here is young Ore Sephiroth with Rosen in that pre-launch trailer. Remember the statement given at a pre-launch trailer? You still don't know Sephiroth. Is it just a linear past that we do not know? Or is there something more? Consider the end of the Ever Crisis trailer in the 25th anniversary. Notice the static, the symbol synonymous with temporal universal convergence, as ubiquitous as white flashes. Static also consumed Rosen. Static. It seems Sephiroth does not know Sephiroth. His inner war has manifested into an outer war. Consider the novel by Nojima-san, On the Way to a Smile, from the Final Fantasy VII continuity. Insane Sephiroth of the Remake and Rebirth journey exhibits many qualities similar to the Advent Children aspect, wanting to recreate reality in despair, loss. Could Watashi Sephiroth, the insane one, still be trying to get rid of these memories? When we know that consciousness produces whole worlds now from the events in Rebirth, especially at the end. To delete these memories is to evoke genocide. For instance, this scene with Zack. Certainly, Ore Sephiroth of these worlds would not want to end. In fact, we know that he would not want to end because that is what he said at the edge of creation. And Sephiroth, or rather one of the aspects of Sephiroth from the pre-launch trailers, has a face decorated in blood. And we have not seen where that blood came from yet, with 2 installments to go. And Glenn, his older brother, who is so emotionally entangled with the first soldier that he can see the future relative to the first soldier. Glenn attacks Sephiroth, his surrogate younger brother, on sight. Why? This is painting a very dark picture. What is adult Sephiroth wrestling with in this shot at the edge of creation? Is Genova or Watashi attempting to change a memory in the same way another Dream Weaver does at the end of Rebirth? In the Cloud Mind Prism sequence that is likely to come at Journey's End, Watashi Sephiroth is not likely going to be charitable and let Tifa and Aerith just save Cloud, not without a fight. Zack is also in these memories, and Zack exhibits the qualities of full consciousness transferal. But these 3 are not alone. In their effort to save Cloud, there is one other in the Nibelheim incident, before the reactor, Ore Sephiroth. In a hyperplane, for instance the Lifestream of Cloud's mind prism, we observe one consciousness exist in more than one body simultaneously. Cloud could face Cloud, so a god could face a god, and neither of them wants to end. What might happen? Perhaps on the 15th there will be a hint of an answer. Beyond the glory of this potential, wherever a second Sephiroth would lead in such a confrontation, there comes a fathomless depth of emotion. The raw danger of a redemption arc. Dangerous, as even if there is good in the first soldier, it does not mean he'll embrace it. It does not mean that he's a good guy. Even in Sephiroth's youth, he killed children. But if the choice seems to be between trusting Sephiroth or people you love dying, even if one likes the idea of a redemption arc, dare one hope. Redemption. A redeemed Sephiroth could be no less dangerous. He might no longer be omnicidal and insane. He might regret his past actions. He might even help the party for a time against a greater threat, for instance Genova. But he is Machiavellian, and he does not want to end, which is not part of the cosmic order. So even in such an arc, terminal combat becomes a rendezvous. But that end fight, the final boss fight, would not be against a monstrous, repulsive, safer Sephiroth that cannot be related to. When it dies, you do not lose sleep. Instead, it would be against a humanoid, a human who just wants to not end, to defy powers that have tried to chain him. Just like the heroes of Remake and Rebirth, who once was a hero, who once was a boy, tortured by Hojo, infected by Genova, lied to by almost everyone he knows. A boy whose world was painted black before he was even born, by powers beyond anyone, powers that wiped out the Cetra single-handedly. You're no longer putting down a monster. You're ending someone that if it weren't for circumstances he was born into, he likely would have been a beautiful ally, as we saw at the beginning of Rebirth. Such an ending would be hauntingly real for one of the most memorable and beloved villains to ever exist across any medium. Perhaps the beginning of the danger of that possibility, redemption from monster to enemy, will begin on the 15th. Imagination adventurers, I bid thee adieu.